Good evening, folks. It's a little bit later than usual, starting at 7 o'clock Central Time tonight, but it's the best I could do. We got a lot of schoolwork going on, and I've been working on this project for a little bit. It took me till this afternoon to finish, so I wanted to try to get it in tonight so that we can move on from it because it's taken a lot of work. Uh, so we're going to open some packs tonight. Just a few packs, that'll be later. I'm going to focus on the decimals tonight because they're the only ones really doing anything right now. We opened 270 packs last weekend and figured they were going to do a little bit better in the rookie league this year. We'll take a look at them, a little bit of a dive into what players are doing well for us. I think it's kind of academic for tonight because most of these guys are a little bit higher than rookie league level, but we'll look at them anyway. After that, we're going to do the big one for tonight that I've been working on. I've been running a lot of bronze level tournaments and trying to compile data to see who is performing well down there. So I'm going to go over the players that I've found, the position players that I've found that are running well in the tournaments. For me and for the other teams, I've been looking into all the leagues. So first, let's take a look at the Decimals, who are currently 48-23 in the rookie league. Just got a 4-0 shutout against the Huxley Bombers. It was started by Juan Guzman, who's been pretty good for us. So let's go over to the home screen. We'll just show you the quick home screen here. Jim Bottomley has been our best hitter overall, triple crown for the team. Not necessarily in the league, but he's been out hitting Mike Schmidt in pretty much all the categories, which is a little bit surprising. I thought that Mike Schmidt card looked really good, but Bottomley is a pure hitter. Just a really, really awesome card. 95 rating. But these are really, really awesome ratings across the board on his hitting. Not great defensively. I do have him playing first base just because my designated hitter is JD Martinez, who is probably the only person on my team who is worse defensively than Bottomley. And then Mike Schmidt's second. Mike Schmidt playing much better defensively, obviously. Again, if you haven't seen this card yet, and you're looking into buying cards, it's expensive. $225,000 is what it was going for over the weekend, but well worth it. He's on track for 37 home runs this season, 125 RBIs, almost 8 WAR on the season. Projected right now sitting at 3.4, but it's only Wednesday. A lot of things can change between now and then. We'll look at card values and stuff over the weekend. I got another project I'm working on for that. But I'm home on quarantine and don't have a lot else to do besides the kids' homework and swimming in the pool. So we've just been hanging out. On the pitching side, Juan Guzman and Jacob deGrom have been anchoring my rotation. We had Strasburg as our number one for a while. I really liked his numbers across the board, but deGrom and Guzman have been outworking him for most of the season. Guzman's been my best pitcher at 11-2 with a 2.36 earned run average, but deGrom's right there with him too with a 2.63 ERA. Striking out both of them low hundreds right now, looking probably 200 for the season. deGrom's on pace for 257. Guzman on pace for 265, but Guzman's strikeout per 9 at 9.8 is kind of ludicrous. 3.2 walks per 9 as well. Just a silly ERA plus. We can ignore last season stuff. He only pitched in like 4 games. We opened him on Saturday. deGrom, on the other hand, we're looking at 8.9 strikeouts per 9, 1.2 strikeouts per walk. So a little bit more wild than Guzman, which is surprising. Guzman's control is lower than deGrom's, but overall, looks like he's getting better swings and misses overall. But both of them doing really well for us, both with 10 wins already and only two losses. The team itself is 48-23, 4.5 games up in the West Division of our league. Second in the league in runs scored. We've bounced between kind of second, third, and fourth. And on runs against, we're first. Not surprising. Number 1 in ERA, number 4 in bullpen ERA. Taylor Rogers has been pretty great for us, closing with a 198 earned run average. 17 saves. Let's see. I'm not sure how many blown saves. We can look into his game log. Looks like just 1 blown save so far on the season, and he's on a streak of 14 saves in a row without blowing one. So pretty good season going on so far for Taylor Rogers. Might be a guy to look at if you're playing in the lower rookie, maybe the Iron League, maybe even up there to the Bronze League for your main team. Brad Hand's been pretty good as expected. Matt Barnes, I kind of threw him in here. I liked his stuff and his movement. Hasn't been the best setup man for us. He's probably going to get relegated to middle relief here pretty soon. Britton, Kenley Jansen, the rest of my have been pretty good. Both of them are moderately rated cards in the gold. Kind of what I expected after opening 270 packs. Again, I'm free to play in packs only, so I don't get my choice of the litter. It's kind of what I open. Raisel Iglesias has not been good. He hasn't been good at all. I sold my backup for him. Somebody bought, no, nobody even bought him. So apparently he hasn't been good overall throughout the other leagues. So maybe somebody you want to stay away from. And then we got Kirby Higbee and Sonny Gray closing out our bullpen. The rest of the offense, we've got Dick Groat leading off, had him a pretty good year. Third on the team in WAR with 2.4. Only one home run so far, batting .312 with 34 runs batted in. Only the one stolen base. This team does not have a lot of speed. There's really only one guy on the team that I expect to have stolen bases. It's not Mike Schmidt, but he is leading the team in stolen bases with 5. That might be something when we open the packs tonight that we look at and see if we can get some more speed into this lineup. Paul O'Neill's batting second for us, batting .270 with a .309 on base percentage. Probably needs to move down in the order, but I've been focusing on tournaments as this team's just kind of running itself right now. We already talked about Schmidt and Jim Bottomley. We got Gabby Hartnett catching, not doing a great job offensively. Still putting up a positive WAR based on his defense. Pretty good defensive catcher. Our backup catcher, of course, is Steve O'Neill from 1920. He's been in a few games, batting .266, a little bit better than Hartnett. Maybe going to look at getting him into the order here pretty soon. JD Martinez batting .263 with 10 home runs, rounding it out with George Springer, Mark Canha, and Jerry Coleman, all of whom having moderate success in the bottom of the lineup. We'll definitely be looking to improve the bottom of the lineup over the next few weeks as this team hopefully starts moving up into the higher levels, into the medium levels over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's where we're at on that. Let's take a quick look at what I'm seeing in these tournaments a little bit. So I've been running tournaments for the last 4, 5, 6 days, putting the data into spreadsheets. I basically had my team in 3 bronze 32-team tournaments at all times. They're not in one right now, unfortunately. Let's get them in one before we continue. And then we'll go into the players who I've seen that are giving us pretty good results in the tournament from league. I do not have all of the guys who are showing as really good, but it's kind of giving me something to look forward to when I'm opening my packs too. Sorry, I got a little bit of a scratchy throat, so I'm drinking some tea and water here. So right now we got the team in 2 tournaments, sitting in 577, 32. They made it to the second round, so they're fighting through the second round right now. We'll see if they can continue and move on. But let's talk about what I've seen. And to do this, I apologize, but I'm going to have to take my face off the screen for you guys so that you're not looking at me. I'm sorry that my face isn't going to be on there anymore. But getting into our bronze tournament and the best position players we're seeing so far out of the data that I've collected. So first of all, you might be asking yourself, why are you doing this to yourself? Because this is a lot of numbers. This is a lot of data. I really liked the idea of the tournaments when they dropped last year, but I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have a way to effectively tell which players were going to work out best for my team at any given level. It's easier on the main team because you can usually tell which cards are better. You know, you have a limited number of the diamonds, a limited number of the hundreds. It's really easy to see which ones are going to work out. Like, you know, Ty Cobb's going to be better than that 92 rated whatever. But when you're looking at the bronze tournaments, there's just such a huge gluttony of cards. It's really hard to get to know them all. So I started running data and trying to figure this out, especially as a free-to-play packs-only player. When I open 270 packs after selling, you know, my first big name card, I ended up with a whole ton of bronze cards, and it's hard to get through them. I do enjoy streaming the huge pack openings when I'm doing 3.5 hours of opening packs, but I wanted to do something a little bit more. I didn't want to just be the guy who opens packs and makes Yankees players feel bad for, you know, playing on the Yankees. I'm also trying to learn how to code. I'm thinking about working from home, We'll see how that goes. Out of the Park was always going in the background, so I worked in some time to figure out how to make this data streamlined so that I could look at it a little bit better and get something out of it. I do really enjoy numbers. It's kind of what I like about baseball. Numbers, something that's always made sense to me. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like, I don't get gravity, I don't get teenagers, I don't understand why my wife's angry at me most of the time when she is, but numbers have always made a lot of sense to me. It's fun. Baseball and the Out of the Park really, I think, simulates the sport of baseball better than any other video game simulates its sport. Like, you can play the ones with the great graphics, you can play Madden or NHL hockey, and the graphics are awesome, but I really think that Out of the Park baseball simulates baseball really well. And as someone who's been watching baseball for almost 40 years, I think that's really cool. So, how did I do it? The big issue with players in the tournaments for me is they were hard to compare. Some of them would play 4 games, get 12 plate appearances, and then be out of the tournament. And even though they hit, 650 or whatever, you didn't necessarily see what they did. Others get a lot more, so it's really hard to compare players against each other. As you know, most of the stats are geared towards comparison over 162 game season. The players in the tournaments are playing anywhere from 4 to 35 games. So I've been getting in as many of the bronze tournaments as I can, taking the stats out, putting them into some usable format for myself. I cut out anybody with less than 32 plate appearances. I use that because it's approximately 8 games or so. That makes sure that the players that I'm getting are at least getting into the second round and that we're getting usable data, as opposed to, I don't want to see a guy on the top of the charts who went 3 for 8 with 2 home runs in the 2 games that he played, because I don't really think that's useful data. The number one statistics I came up with, and it's kind of dumb. I'm really talented when it comes to my imagination, so I named it the Players Tournament Value, or TV. That's the best I could come up with for now. We'll see if we can make something that works a little bit better. It'll take into account the batter achievements on a per plate appearance rate. It includes most of the normal statistics, such as their hits, home runs, steals, walks, everything else you're going to see, in order to see how effective their card has been over short time frames that they get in these tournaments. I find that more advanced metrics are really less reliable over the short period of time, like WAR and OPS Plus are less reliable over this period of time, especially since the players participate in such a weird, random, skewed number of games. I then look at how many times each card appears in the top tiers of the tournament value, and then I look at how many times they've appeared in tournament play, overall. Probably more importantly, I look at how many times the players had really bad performance. So like the times they've been in the bottom 25% of the stats recorded. Again, this is based on how many tournaments they've participated in. What it comes out looking like is something like this. So it's a lot of numbers. You can see we go up and down. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here. And I kind of try to boil it down to, so we got their tournament value, top 20, top 50, top 100, dud percentage. Everything's kind of built into this. And so that's where we get our tournament value from. And of course, what would a top 5 list be without a little drop of subjectivity? So I do go through these numbers. I do not have millions of hours a day to do it. And so at some point, when I'm looking at numbers that are really similar, I just have to make the decision and say, hey, I like this card a little bit better than that one, so he's going to be rated a little bit higher. You can feel free to disagree, and I think that's what's so great about something like this. With that in mind, before I get into the list, a couple disclaimers for you. This is really for fun only. I'm not a professional at any of this stuff. It's still a work in progress. Calculations can change if I find that this just isn't working. And if I continue doing this, we'll see if I continue going on this. I hope people enjoy it, and I hope I do get to continue it. The data is evolving quickly as I'm getting a lot of more tournament data each day. So it's more of a preliminary ranking and will likely change quickly in the future, but hopefully as we get more and more data, it'll kind of even itself out. Most importantly, outside of the fun part, again, just to reiterate, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I really like statistics and numbers. I really like working with Excel and learning new things. I'm really just some dude hiding in his wife's basement during a quarantine trying to have some fun with this stuff. So I hope that what comes out over the next 20-30 minutes or so, you can have some fun with it too. And most importantly, please do not go out and take loans against your house or get in debt trying to win bronze level tournaments because of any of the information that you see on this slideshow. I'm not worth it, and your livelihood's not worth it. So, but otherwise, let's get on to the rankings. Here we go. Starting with the catchers, so we're going to go catchers, then around the infield, and then the outfield. At the catcher position, I have found that the number 5 rated catcher in bronze ranked tournament so far is the 1989 one-hit wonder Bob Geren. This is a pretty decent defensive card for a bronze catcher. Overall 69, so he's right there at the limit of the bronze tournament. Lots of home run power. He's shown up 10 times in the tournaments that I've been involved in. He only has 1 top 20 finish, 2 in the top 50, but has 4 showings in the top 100. I've seen about, I want to say 700 to 800 catchers so far, so 4 out of 10 appearances in the top 100 is not bad. He also has a dud percentage. Again, that's the amount of times he's been in the bottom 25, the amount of times he shows up in the bottom 25% of 20%, so only twice in the bottom 25% of our tournament value chart. Number 4 catcher out there that I've seen so far is Tom Murphy, 2020 MLB Live card. In 21 appearances, Murphy has 1 top 20 finish, 4 top 50s, 6 top 100s, and a 23.8% dud percentage. Rated over Geren because of the defense. I like his defense a little bit more, and he's a little bit more well-rounded with the bat, even if his home run power is just slightly lower. But I'm seeing this card perform pretty well for the most part. Number 3 is Roddy Reed, 2020 Major League Baseball Live card. This guy is seeing some use. He has pretty decent ratings. He's good defensively. In 47 appearances, he's got 4 top 20s, which is the most top 20s on the list out of anybody that's out there. Part of that is because he's been shown up 47 times. He's only got 1 more than that 4 in the top 50, but he's got 12 showings in the top 100%. Unfortunately, he gives you a lot of duds as well, with almost a quarter of his performances being down in the bottom 25%. So kind of what you expect. I think I'm not sure where he's going to go. He's either going to go up or down. I think you could see him move to number 2 or number 1, but we'll see where he goes from here. I've gotten a lot of data on him, more so than almost any other catcher that's in the books. And yesterday he was going to be number 5. Today he had a couple good appearances and moved up to number 3. And my catcher ratings today got all jacked up after whatever happened in tournaments yesterday. Number 2 I'm seeing is Major League Live Stephen Vogt. He's got 24 appearances. 2 of those have been in the top 20. 5 are in the top 50, so almost 20% of his appearances are in the top 50. And 7 of his 24 appearances have been in the top 100. So a little bit better top 100 rate than Roddy Reed, and a lower dud percentage as well. Not as good defensively, a little bit better gap power, a little bit better power. I do take defensive statistics into consideration when I'm doing the tournament value. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, because there's some guys who just absolutely broke it. So if you're trying to pick between these two, if you're looking for pitching and defense, these guys are pretty equal overall. But if you're looking for pitching and defense, you're probably going to want to go with Roddy Reed. But if you're looking more to get some pop in your lineup from your catcher, you're probably looking to go with Stephen Vogt. And then finally, we get on to the number 1 rated catcher so far that I've seen. It is, with 17 total appearances in tournaments, he's got 2 top 20 performances, 2 of them in the top 50, 3 top 100 performances, and a dud percentage of only 17.6. Not quite the top end of a Roddy Reed, but he's not giving you the low percentage, the low, really, really bad tournaments either. And the guy that we came up with is the Live Chance Sisco. Pretty good ratings across the board on his hitting. Nothing great, nothing really stands out, but nothing really, really low either, except for the striking out. Can give you some sacrifice buntings. Mediocre defensively, but he's performing really, really well so far in the tournaments compared to other players One guy that I think you're probably going to see pop onto the list if I do it again next week, when I do it again next week, I should say, is BJ Surhoff from 1980, I think the card is. He was right there. He was my last cut on the catchers today. I wanted him to be on there. I just couldn't fit him based off of what I saw over the last 24 hours in the tournaments. So there you go. There's your 5 top bronze tournament catchers so far in Out of the Park 21. Moving on to first baseman. Number 5 first baseman, appearing in just about every tournament, playing for just about every team, is Jose Martinez. This dude's got 106 appearances in tournaments that I've seen. Only one of those right now is in the top 20. 5 in the top 50, 13 in the top 100. And he's given me almost a 30% dud percentage. So he can hit for you. He's got good hit ratings, but he can also not do much for you too. So I'm not sure what's dragging him down quite so much. He just doesn't always perform up to what you'd expect. Again, really looks like a good bat. Just not giving me, not seeing the reliability that I want to see out of the guy that I want to put at the top of one of these lists. It could change. I wouldn't, just if he gets one more top 20 and a couple more top 50s, then he could easily move up the list really quick. Number 4 is Mike A. Marshall, the 1988 snapshot card. 17 appearances, no top 20s yet, so he doesn't give you the high end, just one top 50, but 5 of his 17 appearances, so a good 30% of them are in the top 100. And the key here is that he's only given a 5.9% dud percentage, so only 1 out of those 17 appearances has been really bad. Really good defensive first baseman, decent contact, pretty good home run power, a little bit higher than that Jose Martinez card. But Mike Marshall is a guy to keep an eye out on and maybe toss into your lineup if you can. He does play right field as well, so you may see him show up on right field lists. I tried to keep everybody on just one list for the means of this experiment, and so this is where you're going to see him for now. He didn't rate quite as highly among right fielders. Also, as you can see, his position ratings are higher at first base. Number 3, 1969 rookie sensation Carl Taylor. This guy's got really good ratings across the board on his hit. Pretty good defensively, showing mid to high 60s as a first baseman defensively. Not great range, but good experience at first base. In 36 appearances, he's got 1 top 20, 2 top 50s, and 5 top 100s. So not quite as many top 100s as Mike Marshall, but you got that top 20 in there that makes him a little bit better, and his ratings on his hitting are just slightly better to me. He's got a little bit higher contact, a little higher eye discipline, not quite the power you get out of Mike Marshall. He does have a 27.8% dud percentage, so I could easily drop him to number 4 and not be worried about it, but for now he's rated just a little bit higher based off of what I've seen, that 1 top 20, that 1 high-end performance. Number 2 right now is Wil Myers, listed as a center fielder, but has really good abilities at first base. Currently showing 42 appearances at first base through the tournaments. 3 of those have been in the top 20, 5 of them in the top 50, and 11 in the top 100 of our tournament value. Almost a 30% dud percentage, but he does give you that high end where you might see him give you something really good. And again, good defensive player at first base. Gives you some speed as well, something you don't always see out of first base. I believe this is a card that'll drop pretty quickly. That dud percentage is pretty scary. But for now, he's got the second most top 100s in only 42 appearances. So he's right there behind Martinez in his top 100 performances, but in like half the appearances. So moving on to our number 1 first baseman. He's been in 36 total tournaments with 5 top 20 performances already, which is silly. 8 top 50 performances and 11 top 100 performances. Our first baseman, our best first baseman in week 1 of the bronze tournaments with only 13.9% duds is Kevin Cron, 2020 MLB Live card. Really awesome home run power here. Showing good rating at first base, even if his defensive metrics aren't very good. But right now, based off of what I've seen in the tournaments I've been in, this guy is crushing bronze pitching. Nobody's even close to his top 20 performances. Tied with He is tied for second in top 100 performances, easily the most top 50 performances out of anyone on the list. And right now, he is the #1 bronze first baseman that I'm seeing. Moving on to the second baseman. #5 is Hanser Alberto. Really good defensive second baseman. 23 appearances so far. He's got 1 top 20 on our list. 43. That's not right. 4 top 50s and 6 top 100s. Big one here is that 13% dud percentage is actually pretty low, and I like the no duds. I want a guy who's going to give me something good every time they go out there, and he's one of those guys. Avoid strikeouts is really high, good speed ratings, and then good infield ratings across the board. Can play multiple positions for you if you want. For this project, though, he is in here at second base. #4 is Del Pratt, 1921 snapshot. 39 appearances, does not have a top 20, but does have 10 top 100s, 4 top 50s, and a 15.4 dud percentage. Pretty good card here. He's got good defensive ratings right there alongside with Hanser Alberto, but doesn't quite give you the versatility that Alberto does. His hitting ratings are a little bit better across the board. I expect to see him put up a top 20 number here in the near future, but he's going to stay with the top 100s. When he's putting out 25% of his appearances have been in the top 100 list. #3 is Scott Fletcher, 1992 snapshot. Really awesome defensive ratings here, really good speed ratings. You got some contact and gap power. This is a guy you can hit #2, #1 in your lineup. And do very well for you. 19 appearances, which is not a ton. He's already got 3 top 20s, 4 top 50s, and 8 top 100s. Almost half of his appearances have put him in the top 100, which is about the top 15 to 20% of the performances that we've seen. A dud percentage of 10.5, which is really awesome. Only 1 out of every 10 of his performances have been really bad. #2, Kazuo Matsui, 2007 snapshot with 18 appearances, 1 top 20, 1 top 50, and 3 top 100s. The one that gets him over the top is a 5.6% dud percentage. Pretty awesome defensive ratings across the board. If you're going for a pitching defense kind of team, this is a guy that you probably want to have on there. I do not have him yet. This is probably the card that I want more than any out of this list. Really good speed and stealing. He's a guy who can get, if he gets a single, it's pretty much a double at that point. He's always in scoring position. So really useful card and shows up in every tournament and plays well in every tournament he's been in so far. So he's a good one to look at. #1, bronze tournament second baseman through week #1 with 23 appearances, already 3 top 20 performances, 4 of those in the top 50, 7 in the top 100 performances, and a dud rate of only 8.7. We've got Maury Rath, 1919 snapshot. One of the best defensive cards you're going to see from a middle infielder with ratings above 90 all the way across the board, except for that infield arm that sits right about 87. We're going to round that up to 90 though. He can sacrifice bunt, but he's never going to strike out. So you get a guy on first, he's going to move him along, or he's going to do what you need him to. He's been pretty awesome. Very, very few bad performances in the tournament so far for him. So Rath, I don't think you can go wrong with either Rath or Matsui at second base, especially if you're looking for people to help your pitching performances. There may be better bats out there, but defensively, I don't think you're going to beat these two all that easily. Moving on to the third baseman. #5 third baseman is 1927 Chuck Dressen. With 28 appearances, he's got 1 top 20, 3 top 50s, and 3 top 100s, but what he doesn't do is not play well. Another good defensive card. You'll see a theme there. I like defense. Good gap power. He's going to get you some doubles, maybe some triples, good eye and discipline, so he's not going to strike out for you, and he can get on base, and he can play good defense at third base. #4, it's going to be Tony Bautista. This is an interesting card. I haven't seen too many of it. 2000 All-Star in 18 appearances. He's got a top 20, 7 top 50s, but 10 of his 18 appearances, more than 50%, have been in the top 100. It's not that great looking of a card, to be honest with you, so I'm not sure how much we can expect this to stay this way going forward. He's only got a dud percentage of 11.1%. So he's pretty much showing up in every tournament ready to play and doing well, performing well for his teams. I do not have him. I'm currently running Chuck Dressen out there as my third baseman. Number 3 is Jack Hanahan, 2011 one-hit wonder. In 21 appearances, he's got 2 top 20s, 3 top 50s, and 5 top 100s. The reason he's not higher is because of that 23.8% dud percentage. He's got better ratings, I think, than Tony Batista for sure. His defensive ratings are really good. He's going to help your pitchers out a lot. Not a lot of speed, not very good at bunting. Probably a 6, 7, 8 hitter in your lineup, but a guy who's been performing pretty well. It gives you that top end that some of these other cards don't necessarily get you. Number 2 is Frankie Gustin, 1947 All-Star. Much like Jose Martinez, he's kind of here because he's everywhere. He's been in 57 tournament appearances, which is most among third basemen that I've seen. He's got 3 top 20s in those, so he's got that high end, 5 top 50s, and 14 of his 57 appearances are showing up in the top 100. His ratings are okay. They're pretty decent across the board for a bronze card. You could do worse than his contact, his power ratings, and whatnot. Defense is okay. Makes some errors, but he's got decent range, a decent arm. He's got a 17.5 dud percentage. So for the most part, mediocre to good, but he's not going to give you a really bad performance. So he's a guy that you can count on to not lose a tournament for you. The number 1 third baseman with 24 appearances so far, 3 top 20 performances, 4 top 50s, 5 top 100s in his 24 total appearances, a dud percentage of 20.8, is Ryan Roberts, the 2011 one-hit wonder. Why is he above Frankie Gustin? Honestly, it's just the defense. I think they could both be kind of flip-flopped, and some of the other guys might even be better suited. Third base was the toughest one for me to figure out. And I already question myself now that I've seen all the numbers come through and watched these things appear here. Roberts has good home run power, middle of the order bat, maybe a 5 hitter, probably not quite a number 3 hitter. Could be 4 for you, I guess. Decent defensive numbers, good speed and steal numbers. So he's well-rounded, and he's showing up at the top. Not a lot of mediocre stuff out of him, though. He's kind of hit or miss. You're seeing 20% of the time he's in the top 100, and 20% of the time he's not. He's in the bottom 25%. So not really sure where we're going to see this card next week, but we'll see how it goes. So now we'll move on to shortstops. Shortstops was interesting. So number 5, I have Juan Uribe. He's here. I didn't want to put anybody on here that didn't have at least 10 appearances, but Uribe's shown up 5 times as a shortstop, and 3 of them are in the top 20 performances of shortstops that I've seen in all of these tournaments. So you're talking 60% of his performances are the top 20 of the 650, 700 or so shortstops that I've seen. That's a pretty good rating, even if it's really small numbers. Again, he's number 5 because small sample size, but I think he's a guy you want to keep your eye out on. Does not make errors. He is listed as a shortstop in the game. He can play other positions as well, so he gives you some versatility. So far, a 0% dud percentage as well. So if even one of his performances has been a dud, he wouldn't have been on this list right now. But because none of them has been bad, he's right here, and I think I'm going to keep an eye on him going forward. Number 4 is Rabbit Maranville, 1921 snapshot. You're not going to see better defensive ratings than that out of any card, probably across the board. Well, that's probably not true. There's going to be guys who are better, but this guy can eat the middle infield up for you. In 18 appearances, he's got 1 top 50, 3 in the top 100, only a 16.7% dud percentage, so not going to give you the top end of, say, Juan Uribe, but he's going to be out there. He's going to be giving your pitchers a chance to get guys out. If you're running ground ball pitchers, you could do worse than having Rabbit Maranville up the middle for you. He's going to save you more runs than he's going to score, maybe, but really useful shortstop there. Number 3 right now is Jose Iglesias. This is another one of those guys that's just kind of here because he's everywhere. In 95 appearances, he does have 3 top 20 performances, so he does have some of that top-end performance. A lot of that is defensive. He gives you a 6 in the top 50, and 13 of his appearances have been in the top 100 out of 95 appearances. So not great, but not bad. He does have a dud percentage of 23.2%. So not great there, but again, he gives you a top end that some other of these guys don't necessarily give you. His defense isn't quite as good as that Rabbit Marinville, but his offense is just a little bit better to the point where I rated him just a little higher. I think next week, if Marinville keeps up the defensive performances, because he gets a lot of his ratings off of defense, and when we see more of him, I think you're going to see Marinville move up the list. Number 2 right now is Joe Tinker. This is the guy I'm running out there, and he's been very useful for me. Another guy that's got a lot of appearances, 46 so far, but 3 of his 46 are in the top 20, so half as many appearances as Iglesias. He's got just as many appearances in the top 20. He's got 10 top 50 appearances and 15 top 100 appearances with just a 13% dud percentage. A lot of it's defense. A lot of it is speed and stealing. But he's a guy that you can throw out there as your number 9 hitter maybe. If he gets on base by accident, he can steal second, steal third, be in scoring position for the top of the order. But again, he's a guy with defensive ratings that are going to crush at shortstop. I really, really like strong defensive shortstops. And that's where we get to our number 1 shortstop. This is the guy that's making me rethink everything that I thought about coming up with this rating and making me think I need to recalculate it, because he completely has broken it in these bronze tournaments. Our number 1 bronze tournament shortstop with 121 appearances, 8 of those in the top 20, 21 in the top 50, and 39 in the top 100, and a 2.5% dud percentage. Our number 1 rated bronze tournament shortstop for week 1 is Ozzie Smith, 1982 Hardware Heroes. I think 50% of his value has come from defense. And I'm not surprised. I mean, 118 rating at shortstop, 103, 110, 103, 103. Everybody's using him, and I don't blame them. I don't have him. I want him. And hopefully we open him in a pack. But I've already got Joe Tinker, so I'm pretty happy with that. I might have to adjust how much defense is accounted for in my tournament value ratings based off of what I've seen from Ozzie Smith, because I'm seeing him get just a ton of points because of defense. But right now, he's the number 1 rated shortstop for me anyway, because he is pretty good. His offense has been pretty good too, so I'm happy with putting him at number 1. Moving on to the left fielders. Number 5, we got Duffy Lewis, 1912 snapshot. Only 9 appearances. This is another guy that will probably be higher based on people using him more. 1 of his 9 appearances is in the top 20, but 3 of them are in the top 100, so 33%. That dud percentage of 0, a little bit more than Juan Uribe, a little bit more appearances than Juan Uribe, so I'm more confident in that 0% dud percentage. Not great defensively out of left field, but he's got pretty good batting ratings across the board. I'm not sure what we're going to see out of him, though. I think he's either going to shoot up the list next week or drop down the list and be out of the list next week, because his batting ratings are good. They're not great. Number 4 is Chris Davis with 30 appearances total, 3 in the top 100. All 3 of those top 100s are in the top 20. What he does avoid, though, he's only got a 16.7% dud percentage. Remember, the lower dud percentage, the better. And 16.7% is pretty good there. Lots of power from Chris Davis. But other than that, nothing really special about him. Number 3 is 1969 rookie sensation Lou Piniella. He's getting used a lot, 44 appearances. 10 of those are in the top 100. 2 of them are in the top 20. A little bit more likely to give you a stinky performance, but I think his ratings lend themselves to being rated a little bit better than Chris Davis and Duffy Lewis at this point. Definitely Duffy Lewis. Good defensively across the board, mid-60s ratings for range, error, and arm, and good ratings on all of his batting stuff, except for his eye, but we can live with that because he can still avoid Ks. Number 2 is Eddie Rosario. Was going to be higher than this yesterday, but then had some duds last night. In 55 appearances, he's putting up a 27% dud rate. So he would probably be number one if it wasn't for 1 out of every 3 of his performances almost being very not good. So he's kind of hit or miss there. He does give you a really high top end, though, with 5 top 20 appearances, 8 top 50s, and 13 in the top 100. That 13 in the top 100 is pretty good. Is a pretty good rating for a guy with only 55 appearances so far. Doesn't give you great outfield defense, but can run the bases pretty well, even though he's not fast. 70, high 60 ratings across the board on his offense. And a pretty good card to plug into your lineup. Readily available too, so he shows up. I had like 8 of him, so he's not like an Ozzie Smith that doesn't ever show up. And when you're doing packs only, like I do, you kind of got to keep your eye out on the guys who are easy to come by. And our number 1 left fielder with 18 appearances, 3 of them in the top 20, 4 of them in the top 50, and 5 of them in the top 100, and a dud percentage of only 11.1%. Mark Quinn, 2000 rookie sensation Mark Quinn. I like his batting ratings across the board with 60, 62, and 69 for a bronze card. That's not bad. He can steal some bases for you, and he's got his range isn't great, but his arm, and he catches all the balls that come to him out there in left field with a 64 rating in left field. Can steal some bases, not super fast, but does steal bases. With 5 of his top 100 performance, or 5 of his 18 in the top 100, and only 1 out of every 10 or so being not a good performance, I was comfortable throwing him at number 1 for now. I think Eddie Rosario is probably long haul the better choice, but he's just not performing too often in these tournaments right now that I'm more comfortable putting Mark Quinn as number 1 right now. That could change if Quinn gets 20 more appearances in the next couple days and stinks in most of them, then he'll easily move down pretty fast. But I think this is a pretty decent card for you out there in left field. Moving on to the center fielders. At number 5, we got Dom Demeter, 1963 snapshot. He's only got 5 appearances, but he's another one of these guys that's just kind of starting to show up. 3 of his 5 appearances in the top 100, which if you've seen how many center fielders there are, having 3 appearances out of 5 be in the top 100 is pretty awesome. And a 0% dud percentage. So he's a guy, he doesn't have high ratings at any defensive position, but he's got decent ratings in range and error. Not a great arm. Probably going to want to leave him in left field, maybe hide him in right field. He's listed mostly as a center fielder, though. Pretty awesome batting ratings for a 68 rated card with a high 60s contact and then a mid 70s home run power. This is a pretty good bronze rated card in these bronze tournaments right now. Number 4 is live Austin Hays with 12 appearances, 3 of them in the top 100 and 1 of them in the top 20. Hays gives you a little bit better range error and arm in the outfield than Demeter does, and just a little bit more well-rounded on the offensive side. Just a little bit higher ratings that put him just higher than Dom Demeter. Also has a little bit more showtime, if you will. It is giving a 25% dud rating so far, but again, it's only 12 performances, so we'll see how they do going forward. Number 3 is Vic Davalillo, 1965 All-Star. This is a guy that's getting used all across the board in a lot of tournaments. Pretty much been at least 1 or 2 in every one I've seen. Just 1 top 20 so far, but 14 top 100 performances out of his 74, and only a 17.6 dud percentage. Great contact, good running, good avoid Ks. This is a guy you can plug in at number 1 in your lineup and just leave him there and not worry about a guy who's going to get on base and score some runs for you. On the other side, not a very good arm in center field, but has pretty good range and pretty good error. Especially up the middle, I like defense. I'm a pitching and defense guy up the middle. Number 2, we got Coco Crisp, and here we go with that defense again. Coco Crisp, like Ozzie Smith, is trying really hard to break my formula because he gets most of his value out of defense. He does have 2 top 20 appearances. I think he's one of very few guys on the center field list that shows up twice in the top 20. There's a big range of center fielders, and so this was a tough position to judge. Does have 9 in the top 50 and 18 appearances in the top 100. And then that 8.9% dud percentage, again, it's largely based off of defense, but you can do worse than having Coco Crisp out there roaming center field for you. Decent contact, pretty good eye, pretty good avoid K. Is not going to give you a lot of power, but has great speed and stealing across the board, and always in scoring position, even when he gets on. Not quite as high on contact, but as Davalillo. but I'd be okay slotting him in at number 1 or number 2 in my lineup as well. The number 1 center fielder that we found with 17 appearances, 5 of them already in the top 20, 7 of them in the top 50, and 11 of them in the top 100. That's 11 out of 17 performances in the top 20% or so of our stats so far. And a dud percentage of only 17.6. Our number 1 center fielder is 2000 rookie sensation Jay Payton. Jay Payton does not give you the speed and stealing that Coco Crisp or Vic Davalillo did, but he's got a little bit higher contact, a little bit more power, and pretty good defensively too. Though not as great defensively as Coco Crisp. This is a guy that is just showing up in tournaments and starting to show up more and more, and still putting out good performance after good performance. So he's a guy that you want to keep your eye out for. I do not have this one yet either. Moving on to our last position for the day, the right fielders. At number 5, we have live Jake Cave with 24 appearances. 6 of his 24 appearances have been in the top 100. The only thing not keeping him from getting higher is that 25% dud percentage. He's got good gap power, good home run power, and good medium to good defense across the board, and can steal some bases for you. So he's a guy that's easy to find and can easily plug into your lineup. Maybe not at an important spot in your lineup, maybe in like 5, 6, 7, in the 5, 6, 7 slots. But he's a guy who'll get on base, will drive in runs for you, and play decent defense out there in right field. Number 4 is the live Mike Yastrzemski. This is a guy who's getting play everywhere. Really good ratings. Across the board, sorry, I got a dry throat there a little bit. 16 times in the top 100, 2 top 20 performances so far, 10 top 50s. That 10 top 50s is pretty nuts to me. 1 out of every 7 performances is in the top 50. And again, out of like 700 or 800 people so far, that's pretty good. So he's getting it done for you guys out there. Good range, good defense, good error, good arm, and a 17.6 dud percentage is pretty good as well. Number 3, we have 1990 snapshot Joe Orsulak. A little bit lower contact ratings than Mike Yastrzemski, but a little bit better power and a little bit better defense out there in right field. In 15 appearances, he's got 3 top 100s, 2 top 50s, and 1 top 20, and only a 13.3 dud percentage. Once it starts hitting 15 appearances at 13.3, I start thinking this guy's going to give you something every time he gets out there. But again, it's only 15 appearances, so that could change quickly. Number 2, another guy with not many appearances so far. I hesitated ranking him this high. In the end, my memories of Phil Plantier when I was an early teenager kind of won out on me, and I put him higher than my better judgment told me to. But 3 of his 10 appearances have been in the top 100 so far, with 2 of them in the top 20. So 20% of his appearances are the best 20 out there, with a dud percentage of only 10%. So only 1 bad performance so far. Pretty good offensive ratings, great base runner, not great defensively. I don't think this is a card that has a chance of moving up to number 1. Probably more likely going to drop to 4 or 5 or off the list next week. But for today, I get to put these guys where I want, and Phil Plantier is my number 2 with his unique batting stance. Finally, our best right fielder so far for these bronze tournaments, with 10 appearances, 4 top 20 performances already, 6 top 50 performances, 7 top 100 performances, and a dud percentage, 1 bad performance so far. Our number 1 right fielder is Gerald Williams. Really good offensive numbers across the board, great speed and stealing numbers across the board, good base runner, decent outfield range, not great error, not your great defensive right fielder, but he has rocketed up my charts today as he just showed up and just puts up big numbers after big numbers. When 7 of his 10 appearances are in the top 12% of people that I'm seeing so far, that's saying something. Easily the most top 20, top 50, and top 100 performances of anybody with so few appearances. I don't know what's going to happen with this card, but for this week, he's number 1. So here's what my team looks like right now for my bronze tournaments. I've got Chance Sisco and Roddy Reed playing catcher. Sisco, of course, I had rated number 1. Probably ruins any chance I have of looking like I'm smart at this stuff right away. I should have done the catchers last. But for now, Cisco is rated number 1. At first base, I've got Will Myers and Jose Martinez. I would be running Kevin Cron out there, but I don't have him yet. Second base, I've got Hanser Alberto, who, if you remember, was our number 5 rated second baseman. Really looking for that Maury Rath and Kaz Matsui cards. I got Ryan Roberts at third base, my number 1 rated third baseman right now. Got Joe Tinker at shortstop with Jose Iglesias backing up my infield. I'm really happy with Joe Tinker, but if Ozzie Smith popped up, I wouldn't be too unhappy to plug him into the lineup. I do have Eddie Rosario out in left field right now with Mark Quinn backing him up. Austin Hayes and Ender Inciarte in center field. I'm looking for that Jay Payton and Coco Crisp card. The theme here is that I don't have any of these cards. I haven't opened any of these really good cards in any packs so far. And in right field, like everybody else who's running tournaments right now, I've got Mike Yastrzemski. I got wildcard Jordan Luplow backing him up. So that's it for our list. If you have feedback or anything, hit me up. I'm Malivian in the Discord channel for Out of the Park, or you can send me something on Twitch, I'm sure. Tomorrow I'm going to try to put out the top 10 starting and relief pitchers. That data has been harder to compile for me, but I think I'm getting there, and I think I have what I need to make it happen. So now I'm going to go back to Out of the Park and finish this, and then we're going to open our 30 packs for the night. We only have 30 today, so we'll see if we get anything good. Hope you enjoyed that. Because I did. That was fun. And I can bring myself back up. There you go, guys. You get to look at me the rest of the time, so I'm sorry. First pack gives us a Kevin Pillar. Kevin Pillar is pretty good defensively. Sorry. We got a Bronson Arroyo 2004 Snapshot Gold starter. That was a guy. 2004 was a good season for those of us who were Red Sox fans. Most of us liked the ending of that one quite a bit. And Bronson, my son, my first child, almost got named Bronson. Kind of glad we decided not to. We got Max Fried, who's pitching pretty well for me in my regular team, on my main team, the Decimals. Got lots of irons coming out here. Looking for, there's Jared Dyson, low level bronze card. You might be able to get some defense out of him if you got nothing else to do. Scott Lambrink, Johnny Dickshot, one hit wonder. Two gold so far, nothing super interesting though. Another pack with nothing interesting so far. Roddy Tellez is a medium level first base for your bronze team if you're running those tournaments. He's been okay. We got Sonny Gray, another guy I've already got, gold rated card. And then Chris Davis, who is at the tail end of his career, though not at the tail end of getting paid. Ten packs in, nothing super exciting so far. All right, last 20 packs. Hopefully we get at least one diamond today. Something good. Another gold. That's our fourth gold. We got Pat Malone. 88 rated snapshot card. We'll take a look at him after we get done opening these packs. He could be a guy who makes it into our rotation. It's a pretty high gold rating at 88. And the historical cards tend to be rated a little bit better than the live cards for their level as well. Mark Bellhorn, another 2004 Red Sox. Not even any exciting bronze cards so far. I don't think I've gotten one that I went over tonight. Another gold. We got an 83 rated Pat Caraway, another starting pitcher. Maybe he can get slotted into our rotation. That was one of our weaknesses. Let's see, a one-hit wonder, Vaughn Joshua from 1975. Look him up. Vaughn Joshua. 1975 one-hit wonder. Well, I don't know about one-hit wonder. He played a bunch of seasons. Let's see, but 1975 was his best season, where he batted .266. Had 7 home runs that year. 43 RBIs, easily his best season. Nothing else really sticks out to me on his baseball reference page. Come on, Pax, give us something good. Running out of time. AJ Pierzynski, he's somebody who almost made it into our top 5 catchers list. Borderline, he was probably like my number 2 or 3 cutoff. I don't like him, so that was one of those subjective calls. If he had been a 3 or 4, then we probably would have thrown him in there. You don't have to tiptoe. Oh yeah. 10 packs left. Nothing interesting at all so far. First base Eric Karros. Might be one to look out for a bronze tournament. We only got 2 silvers, 4 golds. All right, you got 8 packs left to not be a disappointment. Coming up on our last 6 packs, we still just got those 4 golds. We got a Sonny Gray. We got well, here comes another one, Raisel Iglesias, who we already talked about, that has been ineffective for my team. So another duplicate that will get sold. Nothing else that's been terribly interesting in that pack. 6 to go. Tom Murphy is a guy who showed up on the catcher list. Not as highly rated as who we're going with, but he's a guy who you can't go wrong with in a bronze tournament. I think he is pretty good. Just 4 packs left. Terribly disappointed card pack opening night for me. Another ineffective reliever, Matt Barnes, has not pitched well for the Decimals. At least we got some that we can sell. Oh, I should have just skipped the pack opening tonight and gone straight to bed. Oh, future legend, Logan Gilbert, right-hand starter. We'll take a look at him. 1 diamond. Can you give us 1 diamond tonight? Not even a single one. Well, let's go see what we got. Let's see, we did get a Pat Malone, who's a 102, 66, 55 with 92 stamina. I think we like him over Sonny Gray. Let's see, yeah, we're going to take Sonny Gray out of the rotation and go with Pat Malone. Let's take a look at this card. 102, 66, 55. He's got a fastball, curveball, and changeup. See, pretty decent stamina. Some batting ratings, could be a two-way player, but probably not. I don't really use the two-way players anyway. Pitched for the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees. Went 92 or 134 92 in his career with a 374 earned run average, according to Out of the Park Stats. Let's see, this was his 1929 season, in which he went 22-10 with a 357 earned run average. Put up 4.3 WAR that year. See, we got, who else did we pick today? We picked up Pat Caraway, 76, 65, 69, 91 stamina. That is a pretty decent card and probably better than Mike Soroka. Similar anyway. I guess we'll stick with Soroka for now. Who's pitching pretty well for us. Charlie Morton's been kind of hit or miss. 88, 64, 60. Let's try Pat Caraway instead of Charlie Morton for a little bit. And otherwise, I don't think we really got anything. Our other golds were all guys that I've already got. So let's plug them into the pitching rotation, and then let's see. Caraway is going to be our number 4, and Malone be our long relief pitcher, along with Kirby Higbee, or middle relief. That's it for the stream tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the rankings. I'll be back hopefully tomorrow with starters and relievers. I had a lot of fun doing that. I had a lot of fun going through them tonight. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great night.